What if I told you that right now, today, you could be driving a genuine luxury car, the kind that makes people turn their heads in parking lots, the kind with real leather, real performance, and a badge that actually means something for less than $15,000? Yeah, you heard that right. Because while everyone else is out there overpaying for basic econo boxes dressed up with fancy trim levels and a touchscreen that freezes on a cold morning, there are 5 incredible luxury cars sitting on the used market right now, completely overlooked, massively depreciated, and absolutely loaded with more car than anyone at that price point deserves. And the window to grab them before the rest of the world wakes up? It's closing, fast. I'm about to show you exactly which ones they are, and trust me, number 3 is going to make you question every financial decision you've made in the last 5 years. Let's get into it.
All right, car number 1. And yes, before you say anything, I know, a monster. On a luxury depreciation list. Just hear me out, because this one might actually surprise you. The Mazda MX-5 Miata is not just a car. It is a philosophy, a religion even. There are entire communities of grown adults who have built their social lives, their weekends, and honestly, probably their personalities around this little roadster. And once you drive one, you'll completely understand why. Here's the thing about the MX-5 that most people get wrong. They look at it and think, that's cute. And then they drive it and realize, oh, this isn't cute. This is alive. The steering talks to you. The chassis listens to you. It's like the car is having a conversation with you every single time you touch the wheel. And unlike most conversations in 2024, this one is actually worth having. Now, let's talk numbers because that's why we're here. A well-kept second or third generation MX-5, we're talking NC or ND body styles, can be found right now for well under $15,000. Some clean examples are sitting at 8, 9, 10 grand. For a car that was engineered with the sole purpose of making driving feel like an event, not a commute, not a chore, an event. Mazda built the MX-5 with a naturally aspirated engine, a rear-wheel drive layout, and a near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution. You know how rare that is at this price point? Most cars under 15 grand are front-wheel drive appliances that handle like a shopping cart with opinions. The MX-5 is the opposite of that in every possible way. Reliability-wise, and this is where it gets really interesting, the MX-5 has one of the strongest track records of any sports car ever made. We're talking an engine that genuinely wants to reach 200,000 miles if you just change the oil and don't do anything catastrophically stupid. The 2.0-liter four-cylinder in the ND generation is famously low drama. It doesn't leak, it doesn't overheat for fun, it doesn't require a second mortgage for routine maintenance. It just runs, quietly, happily, like a golden retriever that also happens to rev to 7,000 RPM. The parts are cheap, the mechanic bills are reasonable, and because so many people love this car, the community knowledge base is enormous. Whatever problem you have, someone on a forum fixed it 3 years ago, filmed it, and left you a comment section full of encouragement. Honestly, buying an MX-5 is less like buying a car and more like joining a very enthusiastic club where the membership fee happens to come with wheels. Now, and I say this with love, there are things you need to check before you hand over your cash. First, the soft top. If you're buying a convertible version, inspect that roof like your financial future depends on it, because it kind of does. Look for tears, leaks, and any sign that water has been creative inside the cabin. Rust around the rear arches and sills is the MX-5's one real weakness, especially on older examples that live through harsh winters. Get under the car, bring a flashlight, be thorough. Also check the differential on higher mileage cars. It's not a common failure point, but when it goes, it gets your attention fast. And if the car has been modified, which many of them have because MX-5 owners cannot help themselves, make sure those modifications were done properly and not by someone who watched half a YouTube video and got overconfident. But here's the bottom line. The Mazda MX-5 Miata is arguably the greatest affordable sports car ever built. Not because it's the fastest, not because it's the most powerful, but because it makes you feel something every single time you drive it. And that feeling, right now, costs less than a decent used pickup truck. If you've been sleeping on the MX-5, consider this your wake-up call. The secret is already getting out. And once the rest of the world figures out what enthusiasts have known for 30 years, these prices are not going to stay this friendly for long.
Okay, so we just talked about a car that makes you feel like a racing driver on a Sunday morning. Now let's talk about a car that makes you feel like a CEO on a Tuesday afternoon. Except you didn't spend CEO money to get there. Not even close. Meet the Lexus GS. And if that name doesn't immediately make your eyes light up, I need you to pay very close attention to the next 3 minutes, because this might be the single most underrated luxury sedan on the used car market right now. I'm not being dramatic. Well, maybe a little, but I'm also right. Here's the story. The Lexus GS was Toyota's answer to the BMW 5 Series and the Mercedes E-Class. It was built to compete directly with the best that Germany had to offer. The leather, the refinement, the performance, the prestige, all of it. And in many ways, it didn't just compete, it quietly outclassed them in the areas that actually matter when you're living with a car day after day. But because it wore a Lexus badge instead of a roundel or a three-pointed star, the general public never gave it the credit it deserved. Their loss, your gain. We're talking about a car that was sold new for anywhere between $40,000 and $70,000, depending on trim and year. Right now, you can find clean, well-maintained examples of the third and fourth generation GS for under $15,000, some of them under $10,000. For a full-size luxury sports sedan with real wood trim, genuine leather, a smooth V6 or a thunderous V8, and a cabin so quiet you can hear your own thoughts clearly for the first time in years, which, depending on your thoughts, may or may not be a good thing. What makes the Lexus GS genuinely special, beyond the price, is the Toyota DNA running underneath all that luxury. Lexus didn't build the GS on hopes and good intentions. They built it on the same obsessive engineering philosophy that made Toyota one of the most reliable automotive brands on the planet. The 2GR FSE V6 and the 3UZ FE V8 engines found in these cars are, in technical terms, absolute workhorses. They're not exotic. They don't have turbos that will cost you a small fortune to replace. They're naturally aspirated, well understood, well documented, and built with a level of manufacturing precision that would make a Swiss watchmaker feel slightly inadequate. These engines, properly maintained, will run deep into the 200,000-mile range without drama. The transmissions are smooth and durable. The electrical systems, while complex, are significantly more reliable than what you'd find in a comparable German luxury car of the same era. And that last point is important, because anyone who has owned an older BMW or Mercedes out of warranty knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know the feeling, that specific kind of dread when a new warning light appears on the dashboard, and you quietly calculate whether selling the car is actually the more rational financial decision. The Lexus GS does not do that to you. It respects you. It respects your bank account. And frankly, that kind of loyalty deserves to be recognized. The GS 350 is probably the sweet spot. The V6 version gives you more than enough performance for real-world driving, and it's the most commonly available, which means parts supply and independent mechanic familiarity are both excellent. But if you find a clean GS 460 or a GS 430 with good history, and you have even a small appreciation for V8 engines, do not walk away from that car. Run toward it. Now, the things you need to watch. The GS uses a sophisticated air suspension on certain trims, and if those components are tired, replacement costs can get uncomfortable fast. Always confirm whether the car you're looking at has air or conventional suspension and factor that into your decision. Check the condition of the leather carefully. Lexus interiors age beautifully when looked after, but neglected leather on these cars can look significantly worse than neglected leather on simpler vehicles, simply because there's so much of it and it sets the tone for the entire experience. Look for any signs of deferred maintenance. Timing belt service on the V8 models is critical, and if the history is unclear, assume it needs doing and negotiate accordingly. The Mark Levinson audio system, which comes on higher trims, is genuinely one of the great factory sound systems of its generation. But if it has issues, specialist repair isn't always cheap. Test every single speaker, every screen, every feature before you buy. But here's the truth at the end of all of this. The Lexus GS is a genuinely sophisticated, genuinely reliable, genuinely luxurious automobile that the market has almost completely forgotten about. And the people who figure that out before everyone else, the ones who step out of that long, low, beautifully styled sedan and walk in like they own the place, those people are getting something extraordinary for their money. And nobody around them needs to know exactly how extraordinary the deal actually was.
Now I know what some of you are thinking. 2 Lexus cars in a row? Really? And to that I say, yes, absolutely yes. And I'm not even sorry about it. Because when a brand keeps showing up on a list of cars this good at this price, you don't apologize for it. You pay attention to it. But this one is a little different. Because while the GS was the sophisticated executive sedan, the car we're talking about now is something else entirely. Smaller, sharper, more urban, more clever. And if you've been looking for a luxury car that also happens to laugh in the face of a fuel pump, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lexus CT200H. Let's set the scene. You pull up to the valet at a nice restaurant. The car is low, sleek, premium badged, beautifully finished inside. Nobody standing there knows or needs to know that you just drove 40 miles on less fuel than it takes to make a decent cup of coffee. That's the CT200H in a nutshell. It's a stealth weapon, a luxury hatchback that wears its sophistication quietly and its running costs even more quietly. And right now, the used market has essentially forgotten this car exists, which means you can pick one up for well under $15,000. Sometimes embarrassingly close to 5 or 6, and drive away feeling like you've gotten away with something. Here's the part that genuinely blows people's minds when they first hear it. The CT200H shares its hybrid powertrain with the Toyota Prius. I'll give you a moment with that information. Yes, the same hybrid system that Toyota has been stress testing in taxi fleets, rideshare services, and rental car lots all over the world for decades. The same system that has proven beyond any reasonable doubt that hybrid technology does not have to be fragile, temperamental, or expensive to maintain. It just has to be Toyota engineered. And this one is. The 1.8-liter Atkinson cycle engine paired with an electric motor delivers fuel economy numbers that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about running costs. We're talking real-world figures that regularly hit the high 40s to low 50s in miles per gallon, depending on how and where you drive. In a car with a Lexus badge on the front, with genuine premium interior materials, a smooth and refined ride, and that unmistakable Lexus attention to detail in every surface you touch. The contrast between what this car costs to buy and what it costs to run is frankly a little ridiculous in the best possible way. And reliability? Oh, the reliability. The hybrid battery on these cars has proven to be extraordinarily durable. We're seeing CT200H examples with 150, even 200,000 miles still running on their original hybrid battery with no issues. The regenerative braking system means that conventional brakes last far longer than on a standard car because they're simply used far less. Fewer moving parts, less mechanical stress, less wear. It's almost unfair how well these cars age when they've been treated with even basic respect. The interior is where the CT200H earns its Lexus badge most convincingly. The materials are genuinely premium, soft touch surfaces, quality stitching, and attention to fit and finish that you simply don't find in the non-luxury alternatives at this price point. The driving position is excellent, visibility is good, and the overall sense of quality when you close the door, that solid, planted, confident thud, reminds you that this is not a budget car wearing a costume. It was expensive once, it just isn't anymore. Now, the things to watch. The hybrid battery, while impressively durable, is not immortal. Before buying any CT200H, get the battery health checked by a Toyota or Lexus specialist. A degraded hybrid battery isn't always immediately obvious in a test drive, but it will reveal itself in reduced fuel economy and reduced electric assist. And replacement, while not catastrophic, is a cost you want to factor in before rather than after the purchase. On older, higher mileage examples, this is non-negotiable. Check it, full stop. The CT is also a relatively compact car, and the rear seat and boot space reflect that. If you're expecting the practicality of a full-sized estate, recalibrate your expectations now. This is a premium urban car. It thrives in city environments, on commutes, on roads where efficiency and refinement matter more than outright space. Also, some drivers find the CVT transmission uninspiring when pushed hard, which is fair. This car wasn't designed to be driven hard. It was designed to be driven smartly. Those are two very different and equally valid philosophies. Check the infotainment system thoroughly. Earlier models used a mouse-like controller interface that polarized opinion fairly strongly, and while it works, it's worth knowing what you're getting into. And as always, full service history on any hybrid purchase is worth its weight in gold. The Lexus CT200H is the car for the person who is done compromising, done choosing between quality and economy, done pretending that running costs don't matter. It is proof that you can have a genuinely premium daily driver with a badge that turns heads at the right moments without a fuel bill that turns your stomach every week. And at today's used prices, it might just be the smartest thing on this entire list.
All right, we've had Japanese precision, Japanese hybrid wizardry, and Japanese reliability that borders on supernatural. So now, let's talk about something with a little more European drama, a little more theater, a little more of that feeling when you walk past a mirror and think, yes, that's exactly the kind of person I want to be. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mercedes-Benz C200. And before anyone in the comments starts typing about repair bills, I see you, I hear you, and I promise we are going to have that conversation, honestly and completely. But first, let me tell you why this car deserves to be on this list, because the case for it is stronger than you might think. The C-Class is one of the most recognizable luxury silhouettes on the road. There's something about the way a Mercedes C200 carries itself, the proportions, the stance, the three-pointed star sitting on that hood that communicates a very specific message to everyone around you without saying a single word. And that message is, I have arrived. Figuratively, literally, possibly both. The fact that you paid under $15,000 to send that message is entirely your business. Now let's get into what actually makes this car worth your attention beyond the badge. The W204 and W205 generation C200s, covering roughly 2007 through to the early 2020s, represent some of Mercedes' most refined, everyday driving experiences. The ride quality on these cars is genuinely excellent, not floaty, not harsh, just absorbent and composed in a way that makes long motorway journeys feel effortless. The cabin insulation is impressive, the seating position is commanding without being elevated, and the interior quality, particularly on the W205, is a genuine step up from anything in the non-luxury segment at the same price point today. The 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in the C200 produces around 184 horsepower depending on the generation, which in real-world driving is more than adequate. It's not trying to be a sports car, it's trying to be a refined, comfortable, prestigious daily driver, and at that, it succeeds convincingly. Motorway cruising is smooth and effortless. The 9-speed automatic gearbox shifts with a seamlessness that you genuinely notice and appreciate, and the whole package feels cohesive and intentional in a way that cheaper cars simply cannot replicate, regardless of how hard they try. Mercedes also loaded the C200 with technology that was genuinely cutting-edge when these cars were new. Active safety systems, driver assistance features, ambient lighting that makes sliding into the cabin at night feel like boarding a private aircraft, and an infotainment system that, while not perfect by modern standards, was among the better setups of its generation. You are getting a lot of car for the money. A lot. And now, the conversation we need to have, because I told you we would, and I'm a person of my word. The Mercedes C200, particularly the W204 generation, has a well-documented reputation for certain recurring issues that any serious buyer needs to understand before signing anything. The balance shaft and oil pump problems on earlier 1.8-liter engines are real, and they are not cheap to fix if ignored. The air suspension, where fitted, requires monitoring. Electrical gremlins, the kind that appear as mysterious warning lights on a Tuesday morning for no obvious reason, are more common here than on the Japanese alternatives we've already discussed. Rust can appear on older examples in areas you wouldn't immediately think to check, so get under the car, get a proper inspection, and take nothing for granted. The key, and this is genuinely the most important thing I can tell you about buying a used C200, is service history. A Mercedes C200 with full documented service history from a reputable dealer or specialist is a fundamentally different purchase from one with a vague paper trail and an owner who describes the maintenance history as regularly serviced, I think. One of those cars is a pleasure. The other one is a project. Know which one you're buying before your money changes hands. Also factor in that Mercedes servicing costs at a Mercedes dealership are significantly higher than what you'd pay for any of the Japanese cars on this list. Independent Mercedes specialists exist, they do excellent work, and they will save you a meaningful amount of money, but budget for it. Running a C200 is not expensive relative to what the car is, but it is more expensive than running a Lexus. That's simply the reality of the badge, and it's worth being honest about. But here's the thing, when a well-maintained C200 is right, when the history is there, when the condition is there, when the price reflects a seller who understood what they had, it is a deeply satisfying car to own. The prestige is real, the driving experience is real, the quality of the materials surrounding you every single day is real, and under $15,000, the value proposition is also very, very real. Some luxury experiences are worth the extra effort it takes to find the right example. The Mercedes C200 is one of them. Just do your homework and then enjoy every single mile.
And here we are, number 5, the final car on this list. And I saved this one for last deliberately because this is the one that is going to divide the room. Some of you are going to hear this name and immediately nod with the quiet confidence of someone who already knows. And some of you are going to hear it and feel a very specific kind of anxiety that you can't quite explain. Both reactions are valid, both reactions are understandable, and both reactions are exactly why this car is on this list. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jaguar XF. A car so beautiful, so outrageously good-looking, that people have genuinely pulled over on the side of the road to stare at one. A car with a personality so distinct, so thoroughly its own, that driving something else after it feels a little like eating plain crackers after a 5-course meal. And a car that you can currently buy, a real, genuine, full-blooded Jaguar, for the kind of money that should honestly be illegal given what you're getting. Let's start with the thing nobody can argue with, regardless of where they stand on British engineering: the design. The XF, particularly the first-generation X250 and the sharper second-generation X260, is one of the most genuinely beautiful executive sedans ever produced. Not beautiful in a safe, conservative, German efficiency kind of way. Beautiful in a dramatic, confident, turns heads in a car park kind of way. The roofline flows, the proportions are long and predatory. The interior, with its rotating gear selector that rises from the center console when you start the engine, feels less like getting into a car and more like being welcomed into something that was designed specifically to impress you. And it works every single time. Jaguar positioned the XF directly against the BMW 5 Series, the Mercedes E-Class, and the Audi A6. It was priced accordingly when new. We're talking $50,000, $60,000, sometimes $70,000 for a fully loaded example. Today, the market has done something extraordinary to these prices. Clean, well-spec'd XFs are available right now for $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. That is not a typo. That is not a mistake.
That is an opportunity wearing a leather interior and a supercharged V6. The 3.0-liter supercharged V6 petrol engine, where you can find it, is a particular highlight. It is characterful, it sounds magnificent at full throttle, and it delivers the kind of effortless wave of torque acceleration that reminds you why people fell in love with big, naturally breathing and supercharged engines before the world became obsessed with downsized turbos. The diesel variants, particularly the 3.0-liter V6 diesel, offer a different kind of excellence. Extraordinary real-world fuel economy combined with a torque delivery so smooth and relentless that long-distance driving becomes genuinely pleasurable rather than merely tolerable. The chassis is excellent. The ride quality on the adaptive suspension variants is genuinely impressive. Pliant and composed over poor surfaces, taut and engaging when you want to press on. This is a car that does grand touring and spirited driving equally well, which is a harder balance to strike than most manufacturers make it look. Now, here is where I need you to lean in because this part matters enormously with a Jaguar. The XF rewards, and I cannot stress this enough, it rewards the buyer who does their research. Electrical systems on these cars can develop quirks, particularly on higher mileage examples and earlier build dates. Air suspension, which is fitted to many trims, is something to inspect carefully. When it works, it's wonderful. When components start to fail, costs can escalate faster than you'd like. The 2.0-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine introduced in later models is more economical but has received a more mixed reliability reputation than the larger units, so factor that into your shortlist. Cooling system components, including the thermostat and water pump, are worth checking on any Jaguar XF with significant mileage. These are not catastrophic issues, but they are known wear items on these engines. And as with the Mercedes we just discussed, service history is everything. A Jaguar XF with a clear, complete, documented service record from a specialist who knows these cars is a very different animal than one that has been running on optimism and expired service intervals. One gives you everything this car was built to deliver. The other gives you a masterclass in unexpected expenses. Find a good independent Jaguar specialist before you buy. Have them inspect the car, run the diagnostics, check the suspension, and give you an honest assessment. That inspection will cost you a modest amount of money and potentially save you a significant one. It is not optional. It is the price of entry to owning something this extraordinary at this price point. Because here's the truth about the Jaguar XF that the market hasn't fully figured out yet, and this is exactly why it's the last car on this list. It is a genuinely world-class luxury sports sedan. It has presence, performance, refinement, and a character that none of its German rivals could ever quite replicate no matter how hard they tried. It is the car that makes strangers stop and ask you what it is. The car that makes your commute feel like a statement. The car that when you finally find the right example at the right price makes you feel like you've discovered something that the rest of the world somehow missed. And maybe, just maybe, after watching this video, that's exactly what you're about to do.
So there you have it. 5 incredible luxury cars all under $15,000, all hiding in plain sight on the used market right now, waiting for someone smart enough to recognize what they actually are before the rest of the world catches on. And trust me, the clock is ticking. If this video opened your eyes to even one car you hadn't considered before, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. And if you want to keep finding hidden gems like these before everyone else does, subscribe and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. The next one might be the best list yet. See you there.